Welcome to another Genshin Impact video. Today I'm gonna do another Linnea showcase because last time I basically only used her with Zibai, but of course Linnea is also a great support slash sub DPS for non-lunar Geo DPS characters like Navia or Ito, but I'm actually gonna try her with Noelle because I don't have any other Geo 5 stars aside from Linnea and Zibai on this account, which is my free-to-play out account. So I spent the last few weeks building Noelle to see if maybe with Linnea she's actually viable. I know from my main account where I already built her quite a while ago that Noelle is pretty good when she has a good build and like a 5-star weapon like Redhorn Stone Thresher. But here on my free-to-play out account, I wasn't quite able to get the same build quality as on my main account. So yeah, let's see what my Noelle looks like here. She has 2200 defense, 76 crit rate, 128 crit damage, and 127 energy recharge. And of course some Geo damage bonus. And the weapon I'm using is an R2 White Blind that basically has been one of her best weapons ever since 1.0 and should still work really well on her, even now 5 years later. And as for the artifacts, I'm using 4-piece Husk with a focus on crit and a bit of energy recharge, and of course defense with a defense sense, a Geo damage bonus goblet, and a crit rate circlet. Constellation is 6. I was able to get her final 2 constellations while I was rolling for Linnea, and the talents are all at level 9. So yeah, overall a decent Noelle build. Could be a little bit better, but I think she should do some okay damage. The question is, how much is she gonna do with Linnea's help? I'm actually pretty sure Linnea's gonna outdamage Noelle, but yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And yeah, I'm gonna go over my Linnea build real quick, but it hasn't changed since the previous showcase, so I'm not gonna take too much time on this. She's still C0, she's using 4-piece Husk as well, just like Noelle, with focus on defense, elemental mastery, and crit. Double defense and crit build here on the main stats, with the slingshot. And yeah, those are overall stats, 2800 defense, 254 elemental mastery. And she has 90 to 190 crit ratio. And you can already see the team I'm using currently here has Aino and Goro. This is one of 2 teams that I wanna test today. The other one looks like this. So basically one team is mainly focused on supporting Noelle with Goro, who buffs defense and Geo crit damage. And then we have Aino because we need Ascendant Gleam for Linnea. And then the other team, this one, gets the Ascendant Gleam from Iluga instead of Aino, and we use Xingqiu here to get some more sub DPS damage. And Iluga of course buffs mainly Lunar-Crystallize, which means that the buffs go more towards Linnea here than Noelle, which might actually be worth it since Linnea is gonna do a lot of damage here. Like I already said, she is probably gonna outdamage Noelle, if I had to guess. So this might actually be the better team, but I wanna try both of these. And let's start with the Aino-Goro team. And as always, I'm gonna go over to Inazuma first, to Masanori for some basic testing, and then later on we're gonna fight some stronger bosses and of course take a look at the actual DPS of these teams in Miliastra Wonderland. But for now, let's just see how much damage this free-to-play Noelle is gonna do. So I'm just gonna summon Lumi here, then we apply some Hydro, activate Goro's buffs, and now Noelle should do pretty good damage here, 29k. 21k, 23k, yeah, it's pretty consistently over 20k, 26 there, and Masanori is already dead. So yeah, the damage is pretty good actually. We're getting consistently between like 20 and 30k hits from Noelle's burst. Her burst normal attack specifically, since her burst itself actually only does damage in the beginning and then the rest counts as normal attack damage. Only problem here, if you take a look at the bottom right here, she barely got any energy back. Yeah, Noelle has some energy issues. I was trying to get some more energy recharge on her artifacts, but sadly, they didn't roll that well in that regard. But if you go back in and just do a quick Goro skill. Goro has Favonius. If you get a Favonius proc, I want to see how much energy that is for Noelle. So, just this, and okay, we didn't get the Favonius proc. There we go. Okay, that's, you know, about a third of the full energy we got here. And then if we also get a Favonius proc with Aino, is that gonna be enough? Almost. But yeah, then with Linnea on top of that, I think we should be able to get back the burst decently fast enough if we do a proper rotation. It's just that Masanori doesn't survive long enough to do like 2 rotations in a row. So I guess this is already the point of the video pretty early on, where we go over to Natlan, to my second test subject, Kongamato, and see how well this goes. We're probably gonna need 2 rotations here, so then we also see if energy is actually an issue, or if we can get the burst back fast enough for a proper second rotation. But yeah, for now, let's just set up the first rotation, like so. Unleash Noelle Burst. And now, yeah, we're doing still consistently like 23k, 22k, 26. Yeah, it's around 25k on average, I would say. And yeah, within the first rotation, we actually did over half of his HP. Almost 1,000,000 damage, I would say. So it's not bad. We do this and this. We get Ghost Burst back. And is it enough for Noelle? Not quite, but she still has a burst from the previous rotation. It lasts pretty long, and then we get the second one here, and there we go. Okay, that was actually not that bad. It took like 1.5 rotations to defeat Kongamato. For a 4-star, that's not bad. Of course, my Zibai could do it in like half a rotation. But, you know, we are not talking about Zibai in this video. I just want to play Linnea with some other characters besides just Zibai, you know. That's basically the point of all of this here. Just to have some more options for Geo DPS instead of just the White Horse Adeptus. Now let's actually switch the team over to the other one that I was talking about. The one with Iluga and Xingqiu. And see if they can kill Kongamato a bit faster. Okay, here we go. Summon Lumi. Then we set up Xingqiu, Iluga, and Noelle. Yeah, Noelle is doing a bit less damage here now than previously. But we are still shredding through Kongamato's HP pretty quickly here. And this first rotation definitely did more than the first rotation in the previous team. That's for sure. We almost killed him here. So yeah, as I thought, this is actually slightly better, simply thanks to Linnea. And there we go, 313k there at the end with the big nuke. There was no point in setting up another full rotation, so yeah, I just nuked him to death. Which is a viable thing to do with Linnea, for sure. If you are in Abyss, for example, or Stygian, and you're close to killing the boss and you're almost out of time, then sometimes it's better to just unleash the nuke instead of trying to set up another rotation. Because Linnea, of course, can do a lot of damage. Even there, with basically minimal setup, with just Iluga supporting her, she still did over 300k damage. She's just so good. I love Linnea. But yeah, overall, I would say both of these teams work really well. And even though Noelle is doing less damage than Linnea here, she still feels nice to use. I just love Noelle. I always thought she was such a fun and cool character because she's a shielder, healer, and DPS in one. Like, who else fills that many roles? Just makes it so nice to use as a main DPS because you can just focus the rest of the team on pure support. You don't need another healer or shielder to keep her alive because Noelle keeps herself alive. Though I guess you do actually have another healer here in Linnea, but I almost never use her burst. But yeah, now let's go to the Miliastra Wonderland and see what the actual DPS of these teams is. And we are gonna once again start with the Aino Goro team. Usually I set my timer here to 60 seconds, since I think that reflects the actual gameplay more, where you often are restricted by a timer. But a lot of people are just doing like 3 rotations and then end it manually. And maybe that is actually better. So you know what, for this showcase, I'm gonna do it the way most other people are doing it. So yeah, we're just gonna do 3 full rotations and then end the battle and see how much DPS that is. Let's go. Setup done, and now we unleash Noelle. Okay, we're at over 30k here, over 40k. We can definitely get like 60k, right? Come on. Well, maybe not. Not even at 50k yet. Okay, yeah, that's 3 rotations pretty much, so we weren't quite able to reach 50k, which is a bit disappointing. I was thinking we are gonna get at least 50k. But let's take a look at the distribution here. Yeah, Linnea is actually doing the most damage, 53%, but Noelle is not far behind with 42%. And then, of course, Aino and Goro are doing almost nothing. Strongest hit was 90k, that's definitely from Linnea. I don't think Noelle even comes close to doing 90k damage. I'm gonna do one more run, or maybe 2 more, just to see if we can reach the 50k. I'm pretty sure it's possible. Okay, finally reached 50k. Can we maintain it? That is the question here. Okay, some energy issues here with Noelle. Well, not quite 50k, but almost there. And wow, it was even closer actually now between Linnea and Noelle. Noelle almost caught up to her. That is interesting. But yeah, I still think it's possible to get to 50k with this team, but it's definitely difficult. So let's just switch over to the other team and see if that does better. Okay, here we go. And yeah, immediately we get to over 50k here. Very early on in the first rotation. This is definitely better. 60k, yeah, we went even close to 60k with the other team. This definitely feels a lot better already. Let's set up the second rotation here. Everyone got their burst back, I hope. Noelle almost. Just need a little bit more energy. There we go. We're still over 50k. Can we reach 60k again? Okay, we're struggling with energy a bit. And that's pretty much the third rotation over. 58k, yeah, okay, that's 10k more than the other team. That's definitely better, needless to say. Now let's see how much damage the characters did. I'm guessing that Linnea is now far above Noelle. Actually, no, it's pretty close. Oh, that's interesting. That is very interesting. Noelle did actually more damage. Wow. I was thinking that because Iluga buffs mainly Lunar-Crystallize, that Linnea was gonna do more here. I mean, I guess Iluga also does buff Geo damage, but not as much as Lunar damage, so it is a little bit surprising. Let's do another run and see if the numbers stay about the same. Chincho Sacrificial Sword didn't proc there. That's not good. And yeah, now we don't have enough energy because we're missing that one Chincho skill. That's definitely gonna be a worse run than the previous one. Yeah, I'm not gonna even finish this rotation. Just that one missing Chincho skill completely screwed up our energy for this run. Noelle wasn't even close to getting her burst back in the third rotation. But interestingly enough, this is closer to what I expected in terms of the damage distribution. Linnea doing a lot more damage than Noelle. Almost 20% more. But yeah, let's do another proper run, where we don't miss an 80% Sacrificial Sword proc. Yeah, struggling with energy again, but we did have 60k here in the third rotation. And overall, yeah, again, Linnea doing a lot more damage than Noelle. This time is 10%. It's pretty inconsistent, but somewhere between 0% and 20% is the difference, apparently. But usually Linnea does more damage in this team than Noelle. Okay. Yeah, and 60k, you know, that's fine. It is not a lot, of course. It's far lower than the 120k that my Zibai can reach with the same team. But, you know, Noelle is a 1.04 star, and considering that, it's actually not bad. And for the overworld, it's definitely more than enough. Even for some Abyss rotations, it's gonna be enough. It's only gonna really be in Stygian, where she's gonna be really struggling with that kind of DPS. And maybe in some stages of Imaginarium Theater when she doesn't have her optimal team. So overall, it's about what I expected, you know? Okay-ish, but not great DPS. With Linnea actually out-damaging the actual main DPS in this team. So yeah, I guess that answers the question, if Linnea works well with Noelle. She does, you know, she works well with any Geo DPS, but of course the one that she works the best with is still Zibai. There's no question about that. But still, I like having more options, and I'm definitely gonna play her with Noelle a lot in the future. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this showcase. If you did, then please leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more Genshin Impact and other gacha content. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.